The start of our last game session began with the Mirage Majesty Restaurant VIP room still under siege by the Sand Stealthers gang, and the Fallen's Fellowship making their approach. Thotham outside, rightfully angered at the slaughter, he unfortunately was not in time to stop, as the luxury patio was soaked red with blood and wine alike. But from outside, he could hear past the back doors some shuffling and verbal curses, and thus, with a hero's intuition, he advanced. Booming the door open into a kitchen as 3 thugs instantly brandished their weapons, one of which was carrying an unconscious woman. A few poor, unfortunate dead chefs lined against the side wall with their throats slit and last suppers unserved. Thotham bitterly glared.
"Put her down, right now,"
he said, as he whipped his petrified giant scorpion claw out widely. The rookie's eyes on it with concern as they loudly shouted,
"What the fuck kind of weapon is that?"
Thotham angrily scoffed.
"You're all about to fucking find out."
Boss, that scream sounded like our guys. I think we might have company incoming from the kitchen.
A nervous thug whispered as he pulled his gun and pointed it toward the door to the kitchen from within the stately VIP room, a decadently designed dining hall where a young man was unconscious on the floor, mid being tied up. And another thug had his boot pressed into the face of former Chancellor Mariah Shredguard. She tied into her chair but knocked over on the floor, though she remained brave.
About time the police arrived. Better late than never, I suppose. Well, that's it for your little endeavor here. Was throwing your lives away worth it for just this?
"Well, they're too late to save you, lady,"
the ringleader ominously said as he raised his boot, readying it to stomp her feline skull in.
"We shall charge in and announce the cavalry has arrived,"
Tarth loudly vocalized from down the hallway, just as Mimith quickly covered the Harangon's mouth to muffle him.
Shh. Tarth, you're going to blow Lux's cover.
We just said the plan was for Lux to stealth and surprise them. Then we charge. What is wrong with you?
Shit, I'm sorry. I just got excited for some reason and meant to say that telepathically, not out loud.
I don't think they heard. They seemed distracted by something else. Perhaps Thotham has made his way there. So let's do this quickly.
Mentally, I feel okay, but my hands are starting to get a bit shaky. But I'm here to back you all up.
Lux signaled with her hands a countdown to her party mates, and then she pushed open the door and shot into the room. Go time started now, with Lux capitalizing on surprise and sinking an arrow into a thug, as the rest of the room's enemies now turned their weapons to the open door. Both exits surrounded with not a single window to spare them. Gribble came spiraling into the room like a ping-pong elemental. He, still wielding Dia's boons as his flaming fists shot at the ringleader, forcing him to defensively maneuver away from Mariah Shredguard, just as Mimith charged in fast to push even more distance between them and slash her blade, tearing into his arm as he grit his teeth.
Wait, you're not the police. What in blasted Gikarin are you all doing here?
Here for a different mission. But damn, we just can't resist fighting the good fight, you know?
Tarth said as he bonus actioned a flaming blade into his hands. He gave a devilish smirk while plunging his searing sword right through a thug, splicing his torso into fucking 2 pieces, the smell of searing flesh radiating through the air. Poor Osman was just about to launch an attack, but the sight of a split humanoid's intestinal lining wetly plopping and spilling out all over the damn floor caused the poor young man to roll a natural one. His stomach turned with volatility, him needing to clasp his mouth and use all of his movement to puke his fucking brains out into the nearest luxury potted plant.
Good thing this room doesn't have windows for your parents to see like this, Osman. Just close your eyes in the corner there.
Lux said as she swiftly pierced her rapier under chin and through the cheek of a thug, swiftly releasing it and dropping him. But back to Thotham, who had just felled 1 thug and now faced 2 more. One having cruelly dropped the unconscious woman onto the hard floor. They now tag-teamed Thotham for an unfortunate level of harsh damage.
Okay, I admit it's been a while since I've been hit that hard, but still, that wasn't enough to save you from what I am about to do to you!
Thotham clutched his holy symbol as a powerful aura radiated off of him.
Battles are nothing but stepping stones for us war priests. In the name of justice, drop dead.
Thotham flurried multiple attacks with his scorpion claw, and with a final upward swing, he punted them off their feet and shot them like a golf ball, them landing backwards as their skulls cracked into the floor. With the threat removed, Thotham quickly knelt to check the woman was still breathing, him feeling reassured, hearing the voices of his friends from the room beyond the kitchen, sounding like they were clearly maintaining the upper hand. That is, aside from curiously hearing out of context a thug angrily shout beyond the door,
Disrobe.
that which was the command spell casted onto Tarth, who spent his next turn undressing himself nude and vulnerable, leaving him open to a lethal hit from the room leader. Our Harengon faltering to a quivering knee whilst gasping in pain, only managing to hang in there thanks to some temporary hit points. But he nonetheless persisted, and it would all be over shortly.
In Dea's name, you will burn to death!
Our little champion announced as he shot a flaming bolt that ignited the couch on fire. Mimith held her blade to block any escape from the fucker, while Lux followed up with the finishing touch, as she stabbed her rapier through Gribble's flames, heating the metal and barraging an adrenaline-filled series of stabs into the leader, making melting Swiss cheese of his form as he screeched out whilst simultaneously dropping. The sounds of his skin crackling overtook the whelps of his earned suffering. The party then rushing to Tarth's aid with heavy worry for him, but at least the fight was now over. However, while the Fallen's fellowship was preoccupied saving the celebrities and former Chancellor, Gribble's godly agent had been taking care of his own business in the other room, him having kept an ear waiting for the player party to advance into the VIP room out of sight. He then did a cautious look over the main dining room, straightened his jabbet and wiped his monocle clean as he announced,
"All right, bargainer. The coast is clear. Let us now commence our negotiation."
A portal appeared on the musician's stage. As the billowing brown robes of Thanatos' mortal avatar surfaced from it, peering through the hood and giving a slow look over the room of slaughter before descending the stage stairs toward the immortal butler. He, who by pantheonic law should not be capable of being here. Yet here Renrev is, and cocky as ever, the bargainer awaiting his pitch to the court of death.
Lady Dea will supply your court with a free pallet of her augmented special, in exchange for your court's silence in regards to this evening's collective events. So, do we have a deal?
Not bad, though I must request 2 more conditions. Firstly, Thanites must be included in the top half of your priority list of lives to spare in this establishment, that of course being at Dea's own manor expenditure. Secondly, on behalf of dear Charon, we'd appreciate if you lean toward making less work for our noble boatmen. Therefore, please spare more lives that would have otherwise died here than those you take that would have otherwise survived.
Those terms are fine with me. Let's get started and organize these sopping wet flesh bags, shall we? Primary worshippers of Dea, of course, get top priority rescue. Second priority will be saving anti-theists. It's always better to prefer no gods above our own, Milady Dea. Sorry, no offense.
None taken. Please continue.
Per the terms of our primary alliance, third priority will be Sylvanians. As you know, Our Lady of Harvest needs all the help she can get right now. Then fourth priority will be your court's pawns. That's acceptable, I assume?
That's more than generous. Considering your alliance, we do not expect you to place Thanites above Tyrites.
Oh, please. We insist. The pesky alliance terms just state Tyre's and Dea's courts can't aggress on each other's augmented game pieces. Otherwise, there's no need for either of us to stick our necks out helping each other. Unless not doing so would notably harm Sylvania's playing field. And frankly, the cursed day that Dea would put Tyre above Thanatos is the day Thanatos drops from the pantheon before him. Please never let that happen. Your court is the only one we can openly bitch to about both Mr. Justice and Mr. Lies.
Your concern of our court's potential falling is appreciated, but wildly unfounded, Renrev. While we refuse to play the game, our court also has no intentions of allowing ourselves to lose the game either. Besides, our court has more mana than any other gods. Well, aside from the Supreme herself, of course, thus worrying is a waste of your energy. You should focus more on yourself.
My, I didn't take you for such a show-off bargainer. Confidence is a nice look on you mortals. But anywho, 5th priority will be the primary followers of the Storm Twins. As much as I sometimes want to punt them across the damn ocean, they do admittedly have their cute moments.
Speaking of the Storm Twins, Thanatos has observed them acting panicked lately. Our court has reason to believe at least one of their primary game pieces is under threat right now. Coincidentally, Leviathan's knight piece remains existing on the game board, but hasn't been sighted in a very long while. Dea's court wouldn't happen to know anything about that, now would you?
Are you suggesting there might be a second summoner stuck in a limbo? If so, then our court's caution about augmenting a knight piece to the game board has been vindicated. Worry not, bargainer. I'll speak in gold so that there are no doubts between us.
As Renrev speaks his next words, a glowing script of white text appears above his head for the bargainer to read what he says simultaneously, in full intended grammatical context. Golden truths spoken both inside and outside of the game will be recorded in a journal for players to review at any time.
Behold the golden truth. Milady Dea and her court has not knowingly made any moves that would presently threaten the Storm Twins' game pieces. Furthermore, the Grand Revealer's court, until just now, had no knowledge relating to the present condition of the Storm Twins' playing field. Nor do we, as of right now, have any active intention or need to advance on this potential opportunity.
The white script above the immortal butler's head now turns brilliantly gold, assuring the bargainer that the statement, as is written at least, is the objective truth.
Does that verbiage suffice for you, bargainer? I won't be offended if you wish to counter with copper, but if so, it will come out of your palate.
That will do. Thank you kindly for speaking in gold, Renrev. Our court already suspected the aggression is likely from the other half of the game board anyway. Nonetheless, it's rather bold of whoever did it to strike a neutral party. Whoever did must be feeling rather confident right now. It doesn't feel wise for any of us to augment a summoner, but at the same time, the destructive half of the game board has active knight pieces without anyone to confront them. This is an ominous dilemma.
Indeed it is, but thank you for the gossip. Now, typically I would list Heckmayans as 6th priority to spare, but after kindly informing me about the twins, here's some free gossip for you, bargainer. You see, not very long ago, Heckma's champion got hit by a fate thread bomb, alongside both Sylvania's and our own court's champion. It happened all at once. It was a total accident that none of us remotely foresaw, and now all 3 of our courts are in a complete awkward shit show with each other. It's as horrific as it is hilarious.
Really now? If none of you intended it to happen, then might I ask what the catalyst was for the fate thread bomb?
That's the real kicker. It was just a wildcard pawn. A fucking harangon that is absolutely noosed by fate threads. I've seen some crazy knots in my time, but this bunny takes the carrot cake. Definitely a rough start for our champion. It's left us in a bit of a pickle. But thankfully, my young master has brilliantly managed to keep the harangon close, and right now that's our main leverage over Heckma's champion. The champion wants the bunny badly for whatever reason. Whether that's just a personal thing or a direct desire of Heckma, we're not sure yet.
This predicament is yet another troubling sign for our world. This must be immensely stressful for you all, especially considering your champion is, well, a goblin child.
Excuse me, dear bargainer. I need to correct you. My young master is a dragon.
Not yet, he's not.
Yes, he is. You're wrong.
And even if he was, I frankly don't see how that helps you in this predicament. Though please don't misunderstand my saying that for underestimating your court. Admittedly, Deaa'Trice has left Thanatos a bit baffled as to why she chose the child. But unlike your own allied gods, we don't doubt there is a reason, beyond just unfettered chaos, that is. We look forward to whatever show the Grand Revealer is hoping to pull off. That is, if the boy can manage to survive that long. But on the note of champions, our court would be intrigued to know your price for divulging the identity of Heckma's bishop piece to us.
Oh, Milady Dea'a will just love to hear she's got Thanatos' panties in a bunch. Thank you. But unfortunately, the identity of Heckma's champion is not yet for sale. Please don't take it personally. Even Tyr hasn't been told. Milady Dea'a and I are doing all we can to prevent Sylvania from blabbing her mouth to him. But that very stress you poignantly mentioned does mean we need to keep a clean slate with the Mistress of Infinite Envy. Especially as Heckma, believe it or not, has requested an audience with Dea'a tomorrow night.
That is indeed surprising to hear. I would assume her champion must be pushing for it, worried about having the Harengon stuck in the sneaky hands of the trickster goddess. I don't think you need us to tell you to tread carefully if you don't want your weak bishop piece being trapped in a similar predicament. Sorry to speak such a thing into existence.
Bargainer, you shouldn't be sorry for being blunt. What I feel you should be sorry for is being wrong. Behold my silver truth. With the power of Dea's bishop piece, in time I believe you will see the grandest of grand reveals that the Grand Revealer has ever revealed yet. Furthermore, I believe yourself and many will be brought to their knees and weep. Admittedly, that's probably a long ways away, but I said it in silver, and the text above my head confirms that. So you better not forget.
I'll be sure to place a sticky note on my death desk forever reminding me, that is, unless and until I happen to notice your little dragon's death boat floating into our river. I hope such a thing doesn't happen. Whatever Dea'a has up her sleeve sounds, well, amusing. But back to business. Let's wrap up the priority list now, so that Charon can do his job.
Certainly the next priority is the termites. Oops, I meant Tyrites. I'm afraid holding my young master's best interest means I must hold my nose, and if any Tyr worshippers are still hanging in the fray here, I'll muster the mana to save them. Ugh, I could vomit. But I need you to know it's not because I want to be nice.
We'd never think that of you, Renrev. But why are you doing it then if your alliance does not necessitate it?
Just to hopefully delay any potential temptation from Tyr to augment a pawn of his in our champions party. I must admit, I surprisingly don't dislike the Goliath. For better or for worse, I can tell my young master is warming up to him. But whether he remains more helpful rather than obstructive to Milady Dea's goals remains to be seen. But anywho, I'll neither spare nor save Gallus worshippers for now. He's such unsavory company, but he's easy enough to manipulate. As for worshippers of Asmodeus and Wexner, I'll be killing the former swiftly, and the latter slowly.
That makes Charon's load here easier than it would have been otherwise, thank you. Though the battle in the other room still commences.
Oh, thanks for reminding me. Hold on a second, please. Hello. Young master, I assume everything is all right in there, and you most definitely don't require my assistance?
No help needed. We're wiping the floor with them, and they quake in fear of me.
As they should. That's most excellent to hear, young master. I'm confident I can finish cleaning things up here and leave you and your friends to it then.
Renrev, thank you for everything. This has been fun.
I'm glad to hear, and the pleasure is mine. Enjoy yourself and be sure to stay safe.
Will do, Renrev. See you soon.
How very interesting.
What? You didn't hear any of that?
No, but I can see you're warmly smiling ear to ear. While a little refreshing to see a mortal have that kind of impact on you, you do need to be cautious about the level of your attachments to my kind Renrev.
I'll do whatever I damn well please, thank you. And that's some hypocritical advice coming from the very mortal that was raised by the boatman himself.
That's exactly why I'm reminding you. I would not enjoy seeing what happened to Charon happen to any other right hand on the Pantheon, not even the one that hurt us. But speaking of my beloved boatman, I have one last question before I leave you to your headhunting.
I already know what the question is. Charon wants to know what loophole Milady Dea'a and I used to allow me to walk amongst the mortals of Gikarin, right? I was wondering when you'd ask. It's such a fun thing to brag about. I'm curious when you first found out. Even Heckmar hasn't become aware. I can't wait to see the look on Mua and Verisma's faces when they do discover me down here.
Charon was the one that noticed your aura on the Phantom Eladrin's second visit to Oblivion, and when he informed our Lord, we admittedly clamoured about it a long while. This alone is quite the grand reveal. We give you credit for that. The Guardian of Espers is willing to pay a high price to know how you did it. We all are deeply curious about the level of risk associated with whatever loophole you have exploited.
Charon has always had such a keen sense to him. I'm surprised Thanatos himself is so interested. One look on Tyr and Sylvania's face when they found out made it clear they're strongly opposed. I'll admit the risk is uncomfortably high. Dea'a and I both have been long training ourselves to enjoy some of the most extreme and cruel forms of pain, purely in anticipation of potential consequences from exploiting the loophole. Thus, weighing if the risk is worth it depends how badly Charon and Thanatos want to see the game board up close while being cautious about drawing a certain someone's attention and wrath. Knock on wood. But since we are the Court of Luck itself, it was absolutely worth it to us. And I admit, I like being down here more than I thought I would. Though I am saddened Milady Dea'a cannot join me since this loophole only works for Queen game pieces.
To Thanatos, this could be the ultimate way he can demonstrate his appreciation to Charon. Our court, far more than any other, hears all the stories of mortals and speaks with them face to face. A desire to join the game board in the flesh is felt deeply by both of them. Though we're not sure where we'd find the time to give Charon such an opportunity, even if we knew how to do what you've done. But it's worth at least knowing. As for your allied god's resistance, I don't think anyone could blame Sylvania's opposition, given her vulnerability right now.
Agreed, though I do wonder if her being in a better position would materially change anything or not. Poor Fennelis seemed hopeful for a half-second there. As for Tyr and Yazoo, they called Dea'a and I both shamefully sacrilege. Naturally, we cackled at that. Thanatos will have to offer us something that equates to 3,000 years of poring over pantheonic lore to find every possible logic error Milady Dea'a and I could try to reap reward from. And yes, by the way, it was a fucking boring process. As for what possibly amounts to such a value that you could offer, we leave that for Thanatos to figure out and make a pitch. But anywho, how many flesh bags do I get to be a messy boy with?
6 Asmodeans and 1 Wexnite. The Wexnite is outside, and your champion's party murder spree sounds like it's about to conclude. The Phantom among his ranks seems unaffected by the prospects of meeting her victims in Oblivion.
Yes, Miss Moonsworn is a feisty one, all right. If you're able to, do be good to her for my young master's sake when she goes on her deathly dives.
All Phantoms are treated the same. She will receive no special treatment, especially as she does not worship Lord Thanatos. That is, unless special treatment would be high enough value to reveal that loophole to us. We'd roll out the red carpet for her then, max out her knocker points, and tell her the identity behind every death door her little heart desires to knock. We'd even grant her a one-time audience with the Guardian of Espers himself.
Thanks, but no thanks. She isn't one of our worshippers either, so that's not even close to a fair trade. I was just trying to be a nice secret co-parent, but oh well, it's the thought that counts, I guess. But alas, since my young master is almost done in the other room, I'm going to need a takeout container for the Wexnite, so to save my lady's dinner show for later. But do tell Charon I hope he can take a vacation soon. And of course, Dea'a sends her regards to Thanatos.
Likewise. You may confidently consider our cheek turned to whatever you do here. None in the Therine realm will know. Farewell for now, Renrev.
Godspeed.
He said with a smile as he snapped his fingers. And phantom blades quickly dropped from the air and pierced the skulls of those here who worshipped Asmodeus, as he made his way outside to finding the surviving Wexnite.
Because of how fragile your pitiful mortal form is, I unfortunately won't be able to do to you that which your fuckhead of a god put Lady Mystra through. I guess we'll just have to settle for as close as we can get. Don't worry though, it'll be fun. Well, fun for one of us, that is. But spoiler alert, it won't be for you.
Roughly disappearing his body into a transportation glyph for later. Then our butler headed to the front of the building outdoors, just as the Fallen's Fellowship was back together in the VIP room. Thotham tending to Tarth's unfortunate wounds, and Miss Shredguard thanking the player party for saving her, and the Anarchistic Bardic Duo, the Sundown Rioters. They went from backyard punk musicians to Gikarin-wide notoriety with their viral hit song, The Platinum Killer. Turns out some of the Sand Stealther gang had infiltrated staff and poisoned their food to knock them unconscious, a fact discovered as Tarthelemew, enamored by the plates of extra wealthy-looking food, caused him to drop to the floor in a snore. As for Mariah Shredguard, this isn't her first time getting targeted in a political hit job. She always carries equipment that boosts her constitution, alongside some strange gifts given by wealthy fans to the Bardic Duo. They offered the party those items, along with an IOU. You all just need to let Mariah know, and she'll help connect you with them again in the future if you should ever be in need of bards. And with the night brilliantly and bravely saved, the party left the restaurant just as the sprinkler system went off and police came clamoring into the facility. A crowd outside had amassed, tearful and worried, as the media was making the rounds interviewing survivors. Them currently speaking to the party's table waiter, Benjevin, as a crowd watched the interview in awe.
Tonight was my first night on the job here. I guess I'm just unlucky. But, you know, despite this tragedy, I got to witness something truly remarkable. There was a group of real heroes in there. A passionate Harengun, a mighty dragonborn woman, a brave tiefling, an exquisite Eladrin. But most of all, a green-hued, awe-inspiring prodigy boy. He was flying and wielding fire as if he himself was a master of draconics. I have never seen a child be so dashing, heroic, fearsome, and dare I say blessed. Collectively, they all made me realize I had nothing to fear in their presence. Far more would have died if not for them. Oh look, there they are, conveniently right there. You should interview them thoroughly,
he excitedly said, while immaturely leaving any description of Thotham off of the list of compliments. Him grabbing the reporter's shoulders and forcibly shoving her along right in front of the player party. Mimith avoided the interview to go meet up with Osman and his parents. Them grateful everyone was safe and alive, and showered praise on them for their bravery. Mimith then helped escort the exhausted and still slightly nauseous Osman back to the hotel. Meanwhile, Lux kept her hood up and moved to blend in with the crowd while watching her friends. And Gribble only stayed long enough to have a photo taken of him in the interview, before joining the Eladrin's side. That left Thotham and Tarth to do the interview alone.
Dear heroes, when the chaos first started, what were your initial thoughts?
An overwhelming sense of duty, that we of the Six Tricks needed to do all we could to help people fight back.
I feel like I see many in the crowd here who acted bravely. One of my first thoughts was, wow, these people are really determined to help enact justice. It was nice to see.
Looking back on this evening's events, is there anything you wish you'd done differently?
I wish we had been able to act even faster and saved more lives,
Thotham said, just before the voice of a police officer from within the building could be heard shouting through the door.
Holy hell, come take a look at this, boys. There is a guy cut in fucking half over here.
If I could do anything differently, I kind of wish I didn't let my adrenaline get the best of me. I sort of took the violence too far for my personal druidic comfort.
I see. Well, the Sand Stealther gang may have been thwarted tonight, but they and their leader are still out there. Any message you want them to know?
Yeah, actually. What is wrong with you guys? You couldn't wait until we had finished dessert first.
Psst. Ma tote we did finish dessert, remember?
Oh, well, naturally I meant second dessert.
Fair point. But anyway, I would implore them to cast their villainous ways aside and seek the root of peace and redemption.
And if they refuse, then may they be crushed under the hammer of the Justice Seeker.
Tarth and Thotham both failed a DC18 perception check just before answering their last interview question. That which would have revealed a suspicious figure behind the gawking crowd. Glowing red eyes locked on our Harangan and Goliath, peering from behind a blue-streaked skeleton mask. Wearing a dark suit with many belts compressing his body, he held a fistful of sand that he slowly let the wind carry before eventually just suddenly vanishing. The sound of an ominous, ghostly laugh echoed in the air, cueing a few in the crowd to turn around, but nothing was there. While Tarth and Thotham didn't get to witness that, they did get a cold sweat as Tarth asked,
Hey, Thotham, do you think us doing that interview might have just clocked us to the Sand Stealthers gang as someone to put a hit on?
Well, if it did, they better hope to have tougher guys than what we just fought.
Earlier in the interview than that, Lux and Gribble had left the scene after Lux's successful DC-16 perception check noticed their waiter Benjevin curiously surfacing from behind the restaurant with a hasty step and peeling suspiciously fast down the road and around a corner.
I just saw our table waiter hastily run down the road. Looks like he wanted to get away from something behind the restaurant. I wonder what that could be about. Do you have any ideas, Gribble?
What? Which way did he go? I need to go after him. I can't lose him again.
And by again, you mean what exactly?
Oops. I mean, when Renrev left to go get our food?
You just called our waiter Renrev.
No, our waiter's name was, was it Renrev and Shoot, I forget! I'm tired!
I see. Well, let's split up. You go that way, looking for Benrev or whatever his name is, and I'll look behind the restaurant.
With the power of Dea's boon still active, mixed with the fearful adrenaline of losing Renrev again, Gribble ran fast enough that could have given Thotham a run for his money. And as Gribble turned a corner, guided by instinct to try and find his dear butler, he faced a dead end. And his little heart sadly sank, until a lanky shadow revealed itself overhead from the tall figure standing up on the wall.
Young master, my goodness. And I almost didn't notice you as I was just mid-parkouring. Thank heavens I managed to hear your sad little breath. You look distressed. What's the trouble?
Where are you going now, Renrev? What are you running away from?
I'm not quite running away, but I am getting the fuck out of Dodge. Let's just say I had to clean up an annoying mess, and it's best nobody finds out the humble table waiter was the one that did the housekeeping. Well, you can know. But you were with your friends, and obviously we can't have them finding out our little secret just yet, so I skipped out. That's all, young master? Everything's all right?
Oh, but you're not gonna disappear for long again, right, Renrev? You really scared me today. And just now.
Seeing Gribble now anxiously wilt before him made Renrev's eyes widen in surprise. A pinch of panic not felt in a however long. As the immortal butler quickly looked around to assure no disruptions, before leaping down from the wall to kneel beside poor Gribble, patting his head reassuringly with one hand, the other hand sweetly holding Gribble's tiny fingers in his gloved palm.
And there I go messing up and accidentally hurting you again. I'm so sorry, young master. I didn't realize till recently the extent you've bonded to me. Thank you for that. Dea told me everything that happened at Trifecta Chapel, but she didn't respond, because she wanted you to learn to trust me. But I'm not doing a great job of earning that by not communicating well with you now, am I?
I do trust you, Renrev. I'm just scared. It's not the same without you here.
Gribble buried his head into Renrev's sleeve and clung on, shy of showing the sadness on his face as the butler gnawed at his lip with guilt. Thinking back on the bargainer's warning to him this evening, but it was too late for that. As much as Gribble needs Renrev, Renrev also needs Gribble.
Well, I mean, we could hang out and do something else together tonight, young master. I'd enjoy that. I have until midnight in this form, but I doubt we'd be able to come up with a plausible cover story. And I can tell you're tired. It's not good for a god's champion to be needlessly tuckered out, and it's only 4 more hours before I return to the homunculus again. Young master, do you think you can wait for me a little longer?
Yeah, that's okay. I'll be asleep before then, I think. If you ever leave, I just would like to know when to expect you back so I don't get worried. Please?
I'm so sorry, young master. You deserve better from me. This should have been obvious, and yet it wasn't. But now I know, and I will proceed accordingly with this new realization.
But otherwise, tonight really was so much fun. Renrev, will we get to do this again?
Yes, but only as a rare treat for doing good work for my lady dear. To a lesser extent, you could also use your champion stone to call my more fleshy form here. I can do a lot, but I won't be nearly as powerful as I was tonight. After all, it's important that we don't risk attracting too much godly attention too soon, you know? We need you to get stronger. Can't achieve that if your butler is letting you use cheat codes like I did tonight, huh? But nonetheless, you were brilliant to watch. I look forward to every day seeing you grow more and more into a dragon young master.
Gribble stepped back and rubbed his tired eyes, though smiling now, feeling relieved and heard. Renrev taking a sigh to release his own tension before standing up again, tall and towering.
But alas, even dragons need to sleep, young master. I have one last task for this evening before I return to you. But you should probably get back to your friends now. May you dream peacefully of soaring the skies tonight.
Thank you, Renrev. Have a good night. See you in the morning.
And as that was going on, our Eladrin kept to tight corners of the restaurant to stalk her way out back, past the sight of police. Crimson smears remained across the patio stone, though bodies gone now thanks to medics. One of the outdoor gazebos stood out from the rest to Lux, as she rolled high on perception and caught sight of a transparent heatwave permeating from one. She now moving to creep inside to identify the heat source, which came from 2 distinct piles of ashes. A foreboding feeling began to weigh on Lux the more her eyes glanced around, as if the gazebo walls themselves were telling her they witnessed something they shouldn't have. But Lux's curiosity can't be quenched, and she refused to turn back, eager to dissect the scene. A gold glint captured her violet gaze. Thus, she crouched to reach underneath a seat, finding and grabbing a burnt detective's badge, its metal still too hot to the touch.
These ashes aren't gang shooting victims. Someone cooked some damn pigs.
Where the badge looked like it tumbled from its victim, Lux intuitively let her eyes follow a similar trajectory, but from the opposite pile of ashes. Finding a pocket-sized detective's notepad blown further away, deeper into shadows that could not escape her cunning dark vision.
Looks like one cop was asking Benjamin questions, while the other was transcribing the conversation. Wait. These notes, they're discussing me.
The conversation within the transcribed notes went as follows.
All right, sorry to pull you aside like this, sir. But we need you to tell us everything you know about one of your patrons tonight. The purple-haired Eladrin with pink streaks.
Oh dear. You mean that jaw-droppingly beautiful and heroic woman who helped save many lives tonight? That woman?
I think the description we gave narrows it down plenty. So, what can you tell us about her?
Let me think. I can recall she's exquisitely dressed, sharp-tongued, and seemingly protective of those she cares for, especially of her cub. She's like a lioness, loyal to her pride and will pounce at a moment's notice. She's unapologetically provocative, but was truly a genuine delight to serve tonight. Oh, actually, one thing did seem suspiciously off about her, though.
And what was that?
Jickered down liquor, almost like a damn dwarf. I was impressed. My cocktails are stiff, you know.
Welp, looks like we got a wise guy over here.
Thank you for noticing. I am quite well studied.
Listen, waiter. We've been investigating the Platinum Killer on behalf of the Sliverfells. Surely you know the name. Your lioness's patron tonight has been our suspect since police caught her dragonborn friend info-dumping to us about an explosion that happened to a government worker's house. Now, she has conveniently dyed her hair and is donning a new cloak. Look, bud, this lady is a real potential threat to the public. If you're trying to be a good guy by looking out for elves, you're likely unwittingly protecting the very elf that caused the racial tensions to develop between them and the police in the first place. Also, we're talking about a platinum family here, Benny. I strongly suggest you start cooperating.
Oh dear, why didn't you just say so sooner? Please allow me to clarify, I'm definitely not trying to be a good guy. It's just that, sorry officers, but tonight is not your lucky night.
And that is where the transcription cut off. But after Lux scored a ridiculously high 24 on her investigation check, she additionally found what should have been unfoundable. Up on the ceiling of the gazebo, tucked within the high-hanging lantern, Luck was on her side as she pulled from the wax of a candle. It was a trace of magic that only she could perceive, attached to a small slip of paper, a message from the killer.
Dear Miss Mira, I could tell from one glance that you are the frustratingly perceptive type. And please do know I mean that with the utmost highest complimentary interpretation possible. Truly only a woman with such a high fortitude for meticulousness, alongside an unapologetic affinity and tolerance for danger, could be capable of hunting for and perceiving this otherworldly paper. Well done. You have caught me. Nonetheless, I feel the need to advise you, please, be more cautious of where you stick your neck out. While you may incorrectly not value your own well-being, there's someone else who needs you and will be devastated without you. I don't think what's left of my heart could bear even the thought of what would happen to such a special child like yours if something were to ever happen to you. If you can't do it for yourself, then please, for his sake, be more careful. But on that note, you should get out of here before you get blamed for any mess I've missed. I've included a temporary luck ward below just to be safe. Feel free to use it for something else if no problem arises. Who knows? Maybe our paths will cross again in the future. With I respect, Ben Javen.
The luck ward grants an automatic natural 20, but it had to be used by midnight. And as our Eladrin quickly distanced herself from the unholy scene, she caught sight of Tarth crashing into the interview that the Arakok Rayon was partaking in.
I just want to say that this guy right here was really brave. He fought alone and deserves just as much credit as we do for being heroic tonight. Yawn here is awesome.
He said trying to make friends and let bygones be bygones. At first, Jan was about to snap at the Harangon crashing his own spotlight. But then the kind words in front of the camera let the old man take a deep sigh. And thus he let the beef go. Them both smiling for the camera as Luck shoved herself in between them to take center stage.
Hello. I just would like to express that my name is Mira. I was one of tonight's heroes, and while I don't usually like attention for the good things I do, I feel the need to publicly request others to please stop profiling me as the Platinum Killer just because I'm an Eladrin. Thank you.
Thus, the godly luck ward was utilized. Natural 20. That will help delay things and curry favor. However, after the DM reviewed established facts from past game summaries, unfortunately the full intended extent would not be plausible, since Mimith had announced to the police you were the Fallen's Fellowship, and your names are all registered, so this will help protect the bubblegum hair-colored Eladrin from being questioned. But it won't help specifically with the fact the police are onto Luthien Moonsworn, member of the Fallen's Fellowship, of which at least you're now aware of is happening in the background and can better prepare. Thankfully, bureaucracy is painfully slow.
And in exchange for this unfortunate realization, the Grand Revealer will most generously provide Lux with advantaged roles when all this platinum killer shit does inevitably go down with police or court. I highly suggest someone else aside from the DM take care to remember this boon, though.
And finally, the party made their way back to the hotel. Gribble enjoying the last bits of his temp boons soaring around. The DM called for a DC18 perception check that only Gribble could make, as he failed to notice the glowing red butterfly perched on a windowsill of the hotel on the first floor. Then, as morning came, Gribble anxiously sat up with anticipation as he quickly grabbed his little homunculus.
Good gorgeous morning, young master.
Renrev is back!
The boy sweetly said as he squeezed Renrev tightly into a hug, squishing his gears into a clackety grind. But the party all had a hike ahead of them as they said goodbye to their hotel room that now expired. And as Thotham went to do some final prayers at Trifecta Chapel, the rest of the party stopped by their fellow zombie survivors in the Trickle-Down Tavern to update them. During that visit, Lux and Gribble managed to pull Orixian's arm and guilt-trip him into agreeing to come to the wedding despite failing their role. But in exchange, Lux and Orixian need to make time to have a private, serious talk in regards to Tawiddi's mouse, Momo, and Gribble's homunculus, Renrev. And apparently also hoping to make time to help a certain overstressed rogue scratch some itches.
So let me get this straight. You're playing someone rejected by your crush, and I would be your boyfriend in love with you, and therefore I'm playing a role of cucked inception?
Yeah, that sounds about right. And you're totally free to do all your roguish tricks to enrich yourself during the wedding. Just, don't get caught.
Does that mean I should hate Mimith's character?
I mean, I was the one that pushed for her to bring you as a date excitedly to Osmond's family, so we probably like each other.
Oh, I see. So Minami presented me to Mira to fill the void of you getting married. You're my wingman, and I'm obsessed with the obsessed girl. Do I got that right?
Yeah, let's go with that.
You're all a little insane, you know that? Though I suppose that makes for good entertainment. I have no idea why you want me there so badly, but if you're all going to drag me along for this, Lux, I do hope you're prepared for me to commit to staying in character.
I would be deeply offended if you didn't commit, especially considering this is our mission and believability is top priority.
No worries, darling. I'll put my full heart into it. Just remember you asked for it.
Tawiddi, would you like to be my date? I could use a hyena girlfriend.
Can I dress up my hyena form extra cute?
Sure, if that's what floats your boat. Whatever makes my hyena lady happy.
Her name will be Lena, and she will wear a leafy tutu and flower tiara.
Gorham, Moravi, would either of you like to be my date for the wedding? I promise to treat either of you strong, good-looking, tall folk like a proper gentleman.
They both looked over at Tarth in synchronous judgmental gazes, raising the same left-sided brow as the half-orc siblings contemplated why he even bothered to ask. Moravi especially always shrinks herself away whenever anyone other than Lux and Gribble visit their party.
No way, dude.
No thank you.
And please don't ask me. I don't have the heart for it.
That's understandable, Cassius. Damn. Guess I'll just be alone and single. Or maybe I can hit up Sari and see if she can take a break from her shop to accompany me.
Tarth, why not make Thotham your date? After all, you two make for quite the fucking pair.
That's a good point, Orixian. I mean, we're both furry, but in different ways, and we do have experience feeling up a pit fiend in the dark together, but I'll think about it a little more first before asking.
Watching all of this from upon Gribble's shoulder, Renrev raised his own mechanical brow, caught off guard with the contrast of his young master finding the concept of any metaphorical relationship disgusting, and now gung-ho about acting as if in a relationship in front of a mass of people?
Young master, if I may ask, since when did you all need dates for this wedding? Did any of you even think to ask Osmond, Leah, or Hiraya to expand the casting call? Why are these desires for fake romances coming out of nowhere? I mean, they are fake, right?
I'm sure it'll be fine. The more people, the better and more believable. We're all a big family.
The little mouse on Tawiddi's shoulder, Momo, the avatar of Sylvania, also chimed in, though only Tawiddi and Renrev could understand her.
From everything I've heard about you, I didn't take you for the jealous type, Renrev.
I mean, if you need a date for the wedding, all you gotta do is ask. I'm right here.
I'm not jealous, just trying to look out for the De'a worshippers my young master is tasked to aid. As to your offer, thank you, but I'm not interested in children. Not even fakely. You might have better luck with Salazar about, though. I can personally attest that he is a fun guy.
No, but that reminds me. This wedding might be a good opportunity for me to try to play a little bit of chess for Sylvania. You wouldn't try to stop me if I try to flip the wild card, right, Renrev?
That's a bold move for a young and inexperienced little avatar such as yourself. But be my guest, you may certainly try without my impeding you. That is, if you don't object to me watching the show.
Yay! It's a done deal then! Thank you! If I win, I'm gonna so brag to Ava about this. Oh, by the way, she asked if I saw you to let you know she's in the area, but she has no interest in crossing paths with you and your little dragon.
I see. Well, thank you for telling me, I suppose.
On a last note, after the party briefed their criminal contacts here about the events of last night's gang dinner, Gribble and Lux saw Orixian make a familiar squinty face when the Sand Stealthers were brought up, that which they knew implied he was hesitating on sharing something. And after successfully dragging it out of him, Orixian expressed,
I don't want to lead you all astray, and I'm not sure. But I've been looking into recent activities of the crime syndicates in this region and just find the activity of the two most prominent gangs weird. Firstly, the Bleeding Silk's base is much farther north and isolated. For being the most prolific gang, their goal seems nonsensical. Cutting off the water supply, plushy bombing kids, organ trafficking Zambia. I don't know what to make of them at all, and finding direct information from the source has failed me since the undercurrent is much smaller in this region, whereas the Sand Stealthers gang, in my opinion, reeks of fucking feds.
Actually, now that you say that, I definitely agree. Might explain why they targeted the Sundown Rioters last night, and the former Chancellor. She and Osiris don't tango well, though I'm not sure if she has even considered if Osiris's angst with her might be deeper than just competitively political.
Mrs. Shredguard is clearly much more focused on taking down the Bleeding Silks and looks down on the Sand Stealthers as a joke. If they are run by feds preying on vulnerable people, I'm not exactly seeing the angle for that either. Do you have something on that, Orixian?
Congrats on the Platinum Killer song, by the way, Lux. Tawiddi won't stop playing it. Now it's stuck in my fucking head for eternity. But yeah, Tarth, to me, it looks like there is a strong record of prison-to-sand stealther pipeline, and by that, I mean right down to the release date. Osiris has long seemingly boasted his goal of protecting everyone by increasing police and security, despite the controversial history of police gangs going rogue in this region. Something like that is usually an extra hard sell when things in the Tri-Towns have actually been the most peaceful in a while for the region per the statistics in recent years. But one wouldn't think that with the threats people keep hearing about. Ask the public yourself. Headlines have more of them than not on edge. Makes me wonder how much of anything is a genuine threat. And even then, if it's genuinely a gang making that threat, or our own government trying to trick people into supporting their own control.
Oh, damn! That might also explain how Faisal got an in with the Sand Stealthers. He was a government worker, right, Lux?
And then blackmailed into compliance with the gang. So it seems the child trafficking ring may have had more inside help.
Panlore and Morrigan also had bad blood with Osiris after they supported Miss Shredguard's failed election. I'd like to catch up with them, I think, at some point.
They're way too far away, near the jungle. Not sure when we can get the chance, but definitely not before the wedding.
Like I said, it's just some hunches. But I do think there is more messiness than meets the eye between the local government here and the two gangs. It'd be easier to pass through if I knew more about the Bleeding Silks, but alas, they're just as enclosed by walls as Zombie U was. If you do learn anything, please keep me in the loop so I can help organize the undercurrent accordingly. But don't fly too close to the sun in that endeavor. None of us are strong enough to take on the government. At least not before Gorham can help us get parts of the story out. Really need those trains fixed already so we can get back to Pellin's Spire.
Yeah, I suggest keeping your trap shut and passing anything you learn off to me. Our journalists have ways to secure ourselves. You guys don't. And I need you all alive and in shape when it's go time with a lot of the shit you guys exclusively witnessed from that hellhole.
Noted. And sorry I haven't been keeping you all up to date with things. I'll try to be better about that.
Don't worry, we've been busy with our own money making too. Taking a break for a wedding and free food and cute fashion sounds fun though. Meet us here the day of and we can all go together.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you guys for helping us with this wedding mission. We will gladly meet you here.
Still doesn't quite feel like we are necessary for this gig, but if you say so, Mimith, we'd do almost anything for Lux and Gribble. Almost.
And after the party wrapped things up with their criminal contacts and re-met up with Thotham, they all set out for the 2-day journey to Meernec.
So, Thotham, did your god actually speak to you while we were gone? Or give you any awesome powers?
No, nor did I ask him to do so. Faith isn't about getting stuff, Gribble.
Ha! Your god sucks compared to mine then! That or you must not be special like I am, or both!
Oh no, whatever will I do with myself since I'm not more like Gribble?
Duh! Convert to worshipping Dea'a!
Sorry, Gribble, but I don't personally feel like I'm missing out on much by not growing a fucking chicken nugget on my ass.
It's a dragon tail, and it's still in progress. You'll see soon enough, you stupid giant man!
Sorry, young master, but you do actually have a long ways to go.
I actually wish you'd stop showing me Gribble. It's kind of disturbing to look at. Keep your pants up, please.
Thotham said while trying to erase the visual from his mind, and eventually the party arrived to a gritty, sun-baked outpost surrounded by weathered stone walls and sturdy wooden barracks. The sound of synchronized salutes echoed in the distance as the party took in the scent of sweat and metal in the hot air. This is a military town with lots of bustling activity due to Zambiu being right down the road between two monster nests. In order to maximize efficiency, the MRP main tent thankfully was hiked right towards the entrance to the town. Outside that tent, the party saw some punk young adult with curly black hair, dead eyes, and goth clothes had been arrested. The angered shouts of Commander Luke could be heard from outside, him tearing into a military personnel for wasting his time on young looters rather than confronting the endless barrage of otherworldly monsters crawling out of the massive hole dead center of Zambiu, as the military personnel ran out with his tail between his legs. The commander shouted at the punk to get lost. And so he did, now given another chance at life, hopefully making good use of it. The commander's frustrated rage was quelled for a moment as Mimith came into the tent, and he had to rapidly hide his quivering lip at the bittersweet sight of Kriv's daughter, before then tearing into her for only responding to Uncle Walnut in her letter after they, along with Pristy, traveled down to the desert. Them all terrified, Mimith might have died in the cultist massacre, only for them to narrowly escape surviving the train that ended up exploding from the ley line rupture. After wrapping up a misunderstanding of Tarth urinating on the miasma-infected plants they were studying, and clearing up some misunderstandings about poor, innocent Salzerbad, the commander, Uncle Walnut, and Pristy took the Fallen's Fellowship out for lunch, where they all had a shared realization. All of them are visitors of Zugdmoy's network, though the party withheld the identity of the Mycorgi Queen from them. The three monster hunters admitted they don't always dread visiting the network. After a while, the network becomes rather nice. After dying a handful times, you even get your own custom scenario of sorts that helps the place almost feel like a heavenly home away from home, though you still die in the end. That sent almost all of the party into a panic as they insisted, "That sounds like a trap, a siren song." Only Tarth remained quiet, not as confident as his party mates if that's a bad sign, rather than a hopeful one. Our Harangon still conflicted himself over Zugdmoy's words to him in Game Summary 9, about them all together being up against a greater evil, let alone the Kitsukami's prophecy reinforcing that fact. Tarth can't yet shake off the desire to understand the Mycorgi Queen more. But that aside and back to the current mission, the party turned in their job credit for killing the demon-possessed Scorpion, the monster trio recoiling at the sight of Tarth's de-knuckled form. And despite the commander's insistence, he absolutely couldn't do the wedding gig. Mimith successfully passed the DC18 Persuasion check to convince Commander Luke to be the one to walk her down the fake wedding aisle and abandon his post here.
Why in the 9 hells do you want it to be me? I'm loud, I got a filthy mouth, I'm up to my damn ears in trying to push back these monsters so that we don't have to declare this region yet another fucking quarantine zone like May planning. Wherever the fuck it happened in East Centerum, Walnut and Pristy know how to be way more fucking normal than I do.
Respectfully, Commander, I'm not looking for normal. You're the one who taught me how to speak Infernal. It feels right that it be you with me trying to help defend these tieflings to the rest of that awful family. And besides, I know it's not real, but I'm still nervous and shy about this whole thing. Since I can't have my own father with me, I'd feel safest side by side with the man who bravely led him. I love you, Uncle Walnut and Aunt Pristy, but I also wouldn't be who I am today if not for you, Commander. Please reconsider.
The hardened fighter averted his gaze embarrassingly away from Mimith's twinkling blue eyes, obviously unable to say no to that. He loudly groaned, annoyed at himself while rubbing his temples with distress.
Fuck me, fine. I guess I have the accrued vacation days and can claim a family emergency. But don't expect me to act as any role but my fucking self. I ain't capable of acting any different. So if you're enlisting me, then you're signing up for the real me. Got it. No damn complaints.
Sir. Yes, sir, that's exactly what I want. Thank you so much, Commander.
She beamed brightly, excited as both Luke and the Game Master alike thought to themselves, this wedding is going to be so fucked. But before we do get to that long-awaited wedding ceremony, the Game Master has one more big event in store for the Fallen's Fellowship to push through. As, on their way back to Tequila from Meernec, is the night of the full moon. We'll start the next game session with a nighttime warm-up of playing another round of the Adventurer's question cards. But then after having allowed yourselves to be racked in thought about the consequences of the network the past few in-game weeks, the party will find themselves ripped through the glass once more. Leading into that, each of you will be getting your own separate prolonged cutscenes just like back in our 10th game session. So make sure you bring something to occupy yourselves, while the DM takes each of you on a separate dance. Till next time, folks.